Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today it is time for final BAFTA winners predictions. Award season is about to close out. We got BAFTA and Writers Guild this weekend, and while the SAG Awards are going to be the last precursor, technically, they're happening after Oscar winner voting has already closed, so we can't really use SAG. BAFTA is going to be where we see a lot of the winners, so it's going to be kind of interesting.
We interrupt this programming to tell you that channel memberships are open. For $2 a month, you can get members-only video content, from reading your comments, special editorials, small awards season updates, and more. Other perks include weekly members-only live streams, exclusive emojis, badges, and even access to my members-only Discord server. You also get your name to appear in my videos as a special thanks for your support. With your help, we can conquer the Oscar space on YouTube and rule over all. Remember, Uncle Chris needs you.
Now, for Best Film, this is going to be really fascinating. We got Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, and Emilia Perez. Now, Honora looks like it's going to be winning Best Picture at the Oscars, unfortunately. But, however, see, it's kind of tough, because other than years where there is a clear frontrunner, like Nomadland or Oppenheimer, BAFTA's usually not that great at predicting Best Picture. They did not predict Best Picture correctly with the Everything Everywhere All at Once year, the Coda year, the the Parasite year, the Green Book year, the Shape of Water year, the the Moonlight year, I should say. So, yeah, BAFTA's not really great at calling the Best Picture race of the Oscars. And this is a year where there's not really a clear sweeper, so I don't think Honora wins at BAFTA. Now, what is going to win at BAFTA? Well, they usually align a little bit with what the Golden Globes do. You know, they don't, not always. I mean, look at the year where All Quiet on the Western Front won at BAFTA. But still, even then, Banshees of Inisherin was the clear number 2, winning 3 acting awards, original screenplay. So, you can still make an argument that Banshees of Inisherin would have won if All Quiet was not there. And plus, All Quiet was, such a, big new contender that, really came in late. So, yeah, it's tough. So, really, we're kind of between The Brutalist and Emilia Perez. Now, Emilia Perez, I would have maybe said would win, but however, given the amount of controversies that film has been in ever since the Oscar nominations came out, maybe not. I'm going to go with The Brutalist, because clearly that performed very well at BAFTA. I'm going to go with The Brutalist, because that did very well at the Golden Globes as well. And you could see this winning director here, as well as a few texts. Although, admittedly, with The Brutalist not winning Best Picture at the Oscars, it's going to be a little bit questionable as to whether or not, Adrian Brody can actually take the Oscar for lead actor. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, yeah, I will probably go with The Brutalist here. Any big surprises? I mean, I guess you could say Emilia Perez could also get in. I mean, one could also make the argument that with the industry, or at least maybe even the industry with BAFTA, they will see the Emilia Perez controversies and only attribute that to Carlos Sofia Gascon, who's pretty much been blacklisted in award season. And they'll go, oh, thank you, Netflix, for, taking the necessary disciplines with Carlos Sofia Gascon. Now we can honor Emilia Perez. That, they could probably try to do that. But right now, I don't know. I just feel like The Brutalist might just win BAFTA here. Best Director. And the nominees are Sean Baker for Honora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Edward Berger for Conclave, Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Coralie Farge for The Substance. Sean Baker won DGA, something I absolutely was not expecting. So, it's pretty clear he's going to win the Oscar. But is he going to win here at BAFTA? Probably not, because when big surprises happen at BAFTA, or the DGA, when there's big surprises at DGA, they don't really go back with when it comes to the BAFTAs. Like, the BAFTAs will usually try to still stay in line. It's the Oscars that will mainly go with who wins DGA. So I do think it might be Brady Corbet that wins. Although if I were to say who else could be a possibility, maybe Jacques Audiard is still in the conversation, or maybe they just like Edward Berger that much. I mean, they gave Edward Berger the BAFTA for Best Director for All Quiet on the Western Front, so maybe he wins. Or maybe they just absolutely love The Substance, but I think The Substance will be given a different category. Still, I'm going to be saying it's Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. This feels like something the BAFTAs would do, or at the very least, something that the BAFTAs would do when the Oscars are clearly not. Original Screenplay. This is interesting. The nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, Kneecap, A Real Pain, and The Substance. I know a lot of people are going to be saying it's going to be Anora, but however, the moment that Critics' Choice went for The Substance, I was like, oh, what's happening? And now that Sean Baker is taking director, they might have the ability to spread the wealth a bit. Because now they can give The Substance original screenplay. And I might actually predict that. Yeah. Because what's a recent trend in terms of screenplay winners that we see? They like really creative original ideas that kind of build up on top of themselves, and the film just gets even crazier and crazier. This happened with Get Out. This happened with American Fiction. This happened with Promising Young Woman. This happened with Parasite. Like, these just really creative screenplays. Oh, and Everything Everywhere All at Once as well. And I feel like that's going to happen with The Substance. The Substance just always felt like a screenplay winner to me. Sure, it might be not the most dialogue-driven film, but the story is so original and so creative. Like, that's also part of the screenplay. It's not always about dialogue. I've always said this. It's not just about having the quippiest dialogue. It is also about having the most creative story that no one has ever really thought of before. Or at the very least, not like this. So I'm gonna predict The Substance to win here. That Critics' Choice win gave me permission, because it's like, if even the Critics' Choice, if even the critics, where Anora was like their best friend, if even the Critics' Choice Awards will go for The Substance, then I will say Anora will lose the BAFTA to The Substance. So, yeah. Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing. The one thing I was really needing to see to maybe help things turn the tide... Actually, no, never mind. Wait, what was I about to say? Okay, I was about to say for, like, Nickel Boys to win Adapted Screenplay, but then I realized, wait, it wasn't going to be at BAFTA, because any path that, like, Nickel Boys would have needed to take Best Adapted Screenplay would be Critics' Choice and Writers Guild. I do think Nickel Boys is going to take Writers Guild, but it's not going to take the BAFTA. And the fact that it didn't take Critics' Choice, it's like, okay, Conclave's just going to pretty much sweep the entire season. So yeah, this is a pretty easy one to figure out. It's going to be Conclave that wins. Lead Actress. All right, the nominees are Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Saoirse Ronan for The Outrun. I know some people are going to try to predict Mikey Madison for Anora because Anora is winning Best Picture, but however, if the Critics' Choice Awards have anything to say about it, they have shown that you do not need to give Mikey Madison Best Actress if you want to give Anora Best Picture. They still gave it to Demi Moore. And if even the Critics' Choice Awards are going to give it to Demi Moore, then again, Demi Moore is going to sweep the entire season for Lead Actress, as she should. She deserves it. She'd probably have my vote, at least among these nominees. I mean, Lily Rose Depp for Nosferatu isn't on here, but still. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Demi Moore. Like, I always thought Mikey Madison was going to have that really big problem where she's not really a well-known actress, and that some sort of, Hollywood legend was going to beat her out of the winning competition, and that is Demi Moore. So, yeah. Lead actor. All right, this is fascinating. we got Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, Hugh Grant for Heretic, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. This is the Oscar 5 that we have minus Hugh Grant. And once again, since we're not going to be really able to use SAG as a big precursor, voting ends before the SAG Awards start, we're probably going to have to go off of whatever wins BAFTA here. And while I do think, it would have made sense for Adrien Brody to win for The Brutalist if it was going to win the Oscar for Best Picture. However, now that Adrien Brody is in a non-Best Picture winning film, even though I do think it wins BAFTA for Best Film, hear me out. I actually think Timothy Chalamet may actually win at the end of the day. And granted, this is a little bit of a risk because we're going into this without, knowing what SAG's going to do. But, however, it is very clear that A Complete Unknown is more liked than any other musical biopic in recent memory. Or hell, I'm trying to remember when a musical biopic was this well liked amongst voters. I have no idea. So, yeah. Again, Adrien Brody could absolutely win this. Again, I do think The Brutalist is winning the BAFTA for Best Film. Again, unless they want to go for Emilia Perez. Unless they want to do that. But right now, I will go with Timothy Chalamet. But again, it's a really close race. But I think, ultimately that whole, Brutalist not winning Best Picture thing at the Oscars, that's probably going to kill his momentum a bit. Supporting Actress, the nominees are Selena Gomez for Emilia Perez, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Jamie Lee Curtis for The Last Showgirl, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Now, again, Emilia Perez has had a bunch of controversy. But, however, I feel like, again, it's kind of died down a bit. Now that people don't have to worry about Carlos Sofia Gascon, they can probably feel a little bit better about voting for Zoe Saldana. And so that's where I'll go with her. Now, Ariana Grande could maybe win SAG. At the same time, Zoe Saldana has more of a career narrative behind her. Emilia Perez is probably stronger in Best Picture. Even if the tide were to change, I don't think Ariana Grande would win BAFTA. If she won BAFTA, I would actually have to consider if she's actually winning the Oscar. Actually, no, she's definitely winning the Oscar at that point because she would absolutely win SAG after that. So this is fascinating. And also, I did just realize, unlike the Critics' Choice Awards, this is the first televised awards show where the winners were voted on after the Emilia Perez controversy. So it's going to be fascinating to see what BAFTA does, but I don't think BAFTA is going to care as much about the Emilia Perez controversy. So I'm going with Zoe Saldana. Supporting Actor. Once again, we went 5 out of 5 with the Oscars, minus Clarence Macklin. And we have Yura Borisov for Honora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Now that Honora is winning Best Picture, I could take a bit of a risk, because I've always said the idea of Kieran Culkin sweeping without being nominated in Best Picture always felt wrong to me. Because, if you're not in Best Picture, you're inherently weak. And now that Honora is winning Best Picture, at least at the Oscars, this makes me think that we could see an acting win. Now, I don't think it's going to be Mikey Madison because clearly Demi Moore has the stronger narrative. But maybe we actually see Yura Borisov start to win, and I might actually predict him here. Now, you're probably saying, Christian, that's absolutely insane. If your argument was that no one knows who Mikey Madison is, why are you predicting Yura Borisov where even less people know who he is? Well, that's because it's easier to win the supporting acting categories if you're a newcomer than if you're a lead. If you're a lead, that makes things a lot harder. If you're in supporting, you can win if you're a nobody. Look at Ye Jung-yoon, look at Troy Kotzer. People even really didn't know who Ariana DeBose was before West Side Story. So, with all that into account, you can win a supporting acting category without being very well known. So, Yura Borisov doesn't really have to worry about that. But now that Honora's winning picture, I have to assume it's going to win an acting award. And if anyone's going to do it, it's probably going to be Yura Borisov. Because Mikey Madison does not have the narrative to win lead actress, and people say that Yura Borisov is the scene stealer of the film. He's the heart of the film. I believe they will go for Yura Borisov. So, yeah. Casting. We have Honora, The Apprentice, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, and Kneecap. Now, once again, it is interesting. We have 3 SAG nominees here, but, however, I still don't think they win. I mean, well, then again, A Complete Unknown could. But at the same time, I don't think they've given this award to a SAG winner. But at the same time, we thought there was only going to be 1 SAG nominee here, and there were 3 of them now. So maybe it's a stat that's just destined to break. But I'm kind of torn between A Complete Unknown and The Apprentice. Because both make sense. Because on one hand, with The Complete Unknown, you're casting a lot of real figures. You're also doing that with The Apprentice. It is tough. Do I go with The Apprentice or do I go with The Complete Unknown? Because I would also say with The Apprentice, it is kind of crucial that you cast Donald Trump very well. Like whoever you're casting as Donald Trump. Because if you're casting someone as Donald Trump and it doesn't work, then the movie completely falls flat on its face. But The Apprentice did that very well with the casting. But then again, with The Complete Unknown, you could also make an argument that, Timothée Chalamet is winning lead actor. Again, you have to cast a lot of people who can sing very well. So, yeah, I might do that. I might actually predict A Complete Unknown. Again, The Apprentice could absolutely win. But I think right now, A Complete Unknown has a little bit more that you have to cast. And again, a lot of these actors have to sing. So that could be very consequential for it. So, yeah. Cinematography. The nominees are The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, and Nosferatu. Now, this is interesting. We don't have Maria, but I don't think Maria was going to win the Oscar anyway. Nosferatu did win the Critics' Choice Award, but I never bought that to win the Oscar. I never bought it. Like, it's not in Best Picture, guys. Nosferatu is not even close to being in Best Picture. And yes, one could make the argument that Blade Runner 2049 was, not in Best Picture. But you could argue it was a top 15, especially considering at the BAFTAs they nominated Denis Villeneuve for Best Director in a field of 5 before there was a jury. I think there is an argument to be made that Blade Runner 2049 was in the top 15. Nosferatu is not even close to that. So, I will go with The Brutalist. It always felt like this was the film to win cinematography ever since they announced it and ever since the reactions came out. It just felt like it made the most sense here, so I will go with The Brutalist. Editing. Alright? We have Honora, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, and Kneecap. This category is giving me such a headache. I don't know what's winning editing at the Oscars. Because, for one, at the Oscars, you have Wicked and The Brutalist, but they are not nominated here. And you also have Dune Part 2, which makes sense for an editing win, but it's not nominated for the Oscar. And Kneecap's not nominated for the Oscar, so obviously that's not going to happen. So it's between Honora, Conclave, and Emilia Perez. Now, if the controversies hadn't happened, maybe Emilia Perez would take it. And maybe it still can. It might still take it. Who knows? I don't think Honora's going to win because it's not really an editing movie. It doesn't really have very showy editing. So I'm kind of torn between Conclave and Emilia Perez. But then I don't know. A movie doesn't just win editing. I don't think movies just win film editing these days. God, this is really tough. Again, Emilia Perez is more likely to win more awards than Conclave is, but there's so much backlash towards Emilia Perez, but I don't know, oh god, man, this is really, really tough, my god. If Conclave wins editing, I would probably have to predict it for score as well, but The Brutalist could also win score, but it's also god, what do I do here? What do I do? This is really tough, I'm not gonna lie, my god, I don't feel great about this. Maybe I will predict Emilia Perez for editing. So, yeah, maybe I will do that. Maybe I will predict Emilia Perez to win editing here. Oh, God. I don't know. I might be wrong. It might just be Conclave. But I just feel like Emilia Perez is just more likely to win more awards than Conclave is. Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. I think Emilia Perez is gonna win editing. I don't feel confident about it though. I really do not. Production design. The nominees are The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. This is 5 out of 5 with the Oscars, and I will predict The Brutalist to win production design. I've always said, if The Brutalist always kind of felt like that more prestige pick that they would pick for production design over Wicked. It's about an architect, and it was also done with a very small budget, so they might like that narrative. And so, yeah, and I do think The Brutalist is going to win some techs. I think it's going to win some techs. But, yeah, I'm kind of going to go with that. I'm going to go with The Brutalist here. That just kind of makes the most sense to me. Then again, Wicked could win. Wicked could. But, I don't know. This just seems like a BAFTA thing to do. The BAFTAs might just do The Brutalist. Costume design. We have Blitz, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I think Wicked will win this category because there's not really an obvious, like, Poor Things type of film or the favorite type of film to, like, take the award away. Like, this just, it feels like it doesn't really have a lot of competition. I mean, one could maybe argue, like, I don't know if Conclave would win, because, like, it's too contemporary to win. Nosferatu is not really in Best Picture, and it's not sweeping, so I can't really say that. So I will go with Wicked here. It just kind of makes the most sense here. Makeup and hair. We have Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. I'm going to be predicting The Substance here. Again, like the makeup is partially why you're nominating that film for Best Picture. But if there were any film to challenge it, I would say Emilia Perez. Because of the transformation they did on Carla Sofia Gascon, it's still very impressive work. And if Emilia Perez wins at the BAFTAs, oh, it's winning the Oscar. It's going to win the Oscar at that point. Special visual effects, we have Better Man, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. This is interesting because, oh boy, Visual Effects Society gave their top prize to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but that was the only award they gave it. They gave every other award to mostly Dune Part 2. Better Man won Outstanding Character in a Photoreal Feature, and Alien Romulus won Outstanding Models in the Photoreal Feature. Or no, I think it was just like a CG project or something. I don't know. I don't think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is going to win here, sadly, even though it should. In fact, if anything, I think it's like maybe number 5 to win, if I'm going to be completely honest, because the BAFTAs kind of liked Gladiator 2. So, it might be number 5. Oh, that's really sad. Oh God. It is between Dune and Wicked. They are in Best Picture, so they are the ones to win. Now, it is interesting, because at the Oscars, Dune Part 2 very much struggled, but at the same time, the BAFTAs still somewhat liked Dune Part 2. Like, they still nominated it for director, so there's that, but it was also a short list, like, so it's kind of tough. It is kind of tough. Oh, man, I'm scared that Wicked could win, because if Wicked wins a BAFTA, then it's absolutely winning the Oscar. It's done. I'm going to go with Dune Part 2 for now. I'm going to go with Dune, but watch out. Watch out for Wicked, because Wicked is stronger. It's definitely stronger in Best Picture at the Oscars. But I'm just going to go on a limb and maybe say Dune takes the BAFTA here for special visual effects. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Sound. The nominees are Dune Part 2, Blitz, Gladiator 2, The Substance, and Wicked. We only went 2 out of 5 with the Oscar lineup here, because Dune Part 2 and Wicked are nominated, which is interesting. Because Emilia Perez, I thought, would have maybe threatened for the sound win. And technically, it still can win the Oscar for sound, but it does not have a BAFTA nomination, which is strange. I'm going to go with Dune Part 2 because the Association of Motion Picture Sound, they went for Dune Part 2. And they're actually pretty good at predicting what happens at the Oscars. They even called Zone of Interest last year. So, I'm going to go with Dune Part 2. I think Dune Part 2 wins Best Sound here. And it just looks like Dune Part 2 might be like the Two Towers, Lord of the Rings The Two Towers, where it just wins sound and visual effects. Original score, the nominees are The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, and The Wild Robot. Now, this is fascinating because both Critics' Choice and Golden Globes went with challengers, and neither are nominated at the BAFTAs or the Oscars. So, we're going in completely blind here. Again, if Conclave takes editing, it's winning score. And it is also winning adapted screenplay, so that would be 3 awards that it can win. That's pretty good. But, however, I don't know. I think The Brutalist just might be seen as a bigger tech juggernaut, even though it's not winning Best Picture at the Oscars. But, I don't know. Maybe it will be The Brutalist. I would have maybe said Emilia Perez could take score, and it might. It still might take score. But right now, I want to go with a bit of a safer pick, and that would be The Brutalist. So, I'm kind of going with that right now. Animated film, we have Flow, Inside Out 2, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance, Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Once again, this is a big race, because whatever wins here could probably determine what wins the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. And I do think it's a big contest, because, okay, who's won so far? Flow won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. The Wild Robot won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Animated Feature. It won the PGA Award for Best Animated Feature, but I don't really care about that as much because, like, of course, the PGA was going to go for the big American blockbuster. They were never going to go for Flow, so I'm not going to take that into consideration. And also, The Wild Robot won Best Animated Feature at the Annies. However, Flow also won the Annie for Best Independent Animated Feature, so it is still technically in the race. But then again, I don't know. The Boy and the Heron lost to Spider-Verse for Best Animated Feature at the Annie Awards, and it still won the Oscar because it won the Golden Globe and BAFTA. That is an unbeatable combo. And yeah, it lost the PGA to Spider-Verse, but again, like when we're talking about like big blockbusters, like American blockbusters, they always win the PGA for Best Animated Feature. It's never going to go to a foreign film. And the fact that, however, the fact that Flow is the second ever international film nominated for Best Animated Feature at the PGA means a lot to me because guess what was the first? The Boy and the Heron. Now, we got an interesting race here. Okay, so what that shows is that Flow is very popular. It's very, very popular. And it could absolutely take the Oscar. It absolutely could. Oh, man, this is tough. This is really, really, really tough. But Wild Robot is also very strong. It has 3 nominations at the Oscars. But again, that doesn't really mean that much to me because Zootopia had less nominations than Moana and Kubo and the Two Strings. And yet it still won Best Animated Feature. So that doesn't really mean too much to me, how many nominations it has, but it's neither here or there. But there's another contender here that we gotta pay attention to, and that is Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance, Most Foul. Because this franchise has not lost a single BAFTA, not one. Curse of the Were-Rabbit and all the shorts won every BAFTA they were nominated for. Curse of the Were-Rabbit, by the way, it won Best British Film, beating The Constant Gardener, and The Constant Gardener was nominated for Best Film. So, take that for what you will, how much they love Wallace and Gromit. But what's going to be stronger? Their love for Wallace and Gromit or the big international contender Flow? That's what's interesting to me. Now, if Wild Robot wins here, okay, it is unequivocally the frontrunner right now. But I don't know. If Wallace and Gromit won here, I'd still take that pretty seriously for the Oscar. It's not going to be like a Klaus situation, because yeah, Klaus won the Annie and BAFTA, and it didn't win the Oscar. But at the same time, Klaus only got nominated at the BAFTAs and Annies. It had no other precursors. Whereas Wallace and Gromit has been nominated everywhere it could have. So, it is a popular film. People do know about this film. So it is really, really, really tough. And again, look at Happy Feet. Happy Feet won Best Animated Feature off of only BAFTA alone because of that last-minute hype. And even if last year has anything to say about it, like, the BAFTAs are still pretty good with that last-minute hype. They really, like, that last minute hype really came in handy with Poor Things winning a lot of awards, with American Fiction winning Best Adapted Screenplay over at BAFTA, with The Boy and the Heron winning Best Animated Feature. So maybe there is a chance that Wallace and Gromit just might take the Oscar if it wins at BAFTA. And so, because of how many awards the Wallace and Gromit franchise has won, I'm going to go with Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul to win the BAFTA for Best Animated Feature. And again, I don't think it's just going to be a British thing, because it's clear from the nominations, it has very, very wide appeal. It has very wide appeal. So, we're going to have to see. And it has been, like, the most praised Aardman production in maybe decades, to be completely honest. Like, my God. So, yeah. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, like, this is probably, like, the most acclaimed, arguably the most acclaimed Aardman film since either Curse of the Were-Rabbit or even, Chicken Run, to be honest. So, I'm going to go with Wallace and Gromit right now. Even though Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, I think it did sweep. So it does have that going against it. But again, like, BAFTA has shown to be a pretty damn good precursor. So I'm going to go with Wallace and Gromit. Children's and family film, alright? We got Flow, Kensuke's Kingdom, Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Well, again, Wallace and Gromit has not lost a BAFTA thus far, so I'm going to once again predict it for children's and family film here. And that's going to be pretty impressive that Wallace and Gromit will have won 2 BAFTAs. Granted, this could also be seen as, like, isn't this just animated feature 2.0? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really make sense why they have a children's and family film category here, but still, Wallace and Gromit's going to win here, so yeah. Film not in the English language, the nominees are All We Imagine Is Light, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Kneecap, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Now this is going to be fascinating. This is going to be very fascinating. I do not think I'm Still Here is going to win the BAFTA. I do not. It is like number 4 to win right here. Because we have Emilia Perez, Kneecap, All We Imagine Is Light, and then I'm Still Here. Because All We Imagine Is Light got shortlisted at the BAFTAs for director and original screenplay. So clearly the BAFTAs liked All I Imagine Is Light more than they did I'm Still Here. But I think the real race is between Emilia Perez and Kneecap. Because Emilia Perez, it's gotten into a lot of controversy, but I'm also predicting it to win a few awards here, so I don't know. But with those controversies, if they don't want to go for Emilia Perez, they could absolutely go for Kneecap. Because they shortlisted Kneecap for Best Film, and they nominated it for Best Original Screenplay. Again, that means a lot. If you wanted to predict Kneecap, you absolutely could, and you could be right. But however, because Emilia Perez is in Best Film, but then again, I should also know that the Zone of Interest, beat Anatomy of a Fall for film not in the English language, despite it not being nominated for Best Film, and Anatomy of a Fall was. But then at the same time, The Zone of Interest was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. So you can see that they were trying to make that happen. Whereas Kneecap did not get a single Oscar nomination, which is strange. Not even original song. That sucks. I'm still going to go with Emilia Perez. It seems to be a much stronger film. Although if it loses here, then I might have to maybe consider if I'm Still Here could win the Oscar. But it's so weird because there's been no precursors where I'm Still Here performed as well as it did the Oscars since the Golden Globes. So I don't know what to make of that film. But still, I don't have to worry about I'm Still Here in this awards ceremony. It's going to be Emilia Perez. Next, we get documentary feature. And the nominees are Black Box Diaries, Daughters, No Other Land, Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story, and Will and Harper. Like, the British are a lot more sympathetic to Palestine than they are, or than America is. So I don't really have to worry about it there. So yeah, I will predict that No Other Land will take the BAFTA. I will take that. Although, at the Oscars, I'm really wondering if Porcelain War could win, because it took DGA. Oh, it took DGA. My God. Then we get to Outstanding British Film, and the nominees are Bird, Blitz, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Hard Truths, Kneecap, Lee, Love Lies Bleeding, The Outrun, and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. The only film nominated here that was nominated for Best Film is Conclave, so I might go with Conclave here. But however, there is still Kneecap, which was shortlisted for Best Film. Keep an eye out for that. And I don't know, maybe you could also keep an eye out for Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, because, you know, again, Curse of the Were-Rabbit actually beat Constant Gardener. But then again, that was a different time, and, like, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm going to predict Conclave to win here. I'm going to predict Conclave. I don't know enough about the short films, so I'm just going to go on to Outstanding Debut. We have Horde, Kneecap, Monkey Man, Santosh, and Sister Midnight. I'm actually going to go with Kneecap. I mean, it's long listed for Best Film, so that makes sense to me. I don't know, maybe Dev Patel for Monkey Man could. And guys, those are my BAFTA winners predictions. My God, the award season is getting ready to wrap up, and it is just absolute chaos as to what's going to happen right now. But now, I'm going to pass the question off to you. What are your final BAFTA predictions? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, King Charles is going to creep up into your window.